All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's day is off to a fantastic start. My name is Laura. I'm here with Debbie Taylor. She is extraordinary, and we are thrilled to be back with her. So, this is whether you've been to a webinar with Holistiplan or this is your first time, we're excited to have you here. And if you've been here before, welcome back. There's always something new we can learn from Debbie Taylor. So, today, Debbie, we call her Queen Debbie. Debbie is the founder. She's a wealth advisor and lead tax planner at Taylor Financial Group, which is a full-service, woman-owned wealth management firm. She is CPA, PFS certified, and she's a highly sought-after industry speaker. And she leads our Holistiplan's monthly masterclass, where hundreds of folks tune in each month to unlock the secrets to tax planning. And today, Debbie is here to present on offering value with tax return reviews through Holistiplan. So welcome, Debbie. Thank you for coming.
Good to be back. Thanks, Laura. Ready to go?
We are ready.
Excellent. Well, welcome everybody, right? Future subscribers to Holistiplan. And thanks for joining us today. And so we're going to talk about offering value with tax return reviews through Holistiplan. And what I want to start with is mentioning to you all that I just returned from basically 3 weeks on the road speaking to end clients of a financial firm. So the firm hired me to go to 7 different states and to discuss tax planning with their clients. And what I will tell you, being out on the road for 3 weeks, is that people care deeply about taxes. More and more, this is not a sleepy topic. Your clients, your prospects, your future clients want advice, they want guidance in this area, and ultimately they want to increase their lifetime wealth. And one of the best ways to do that is to drive down taxes. And really then the first step in that is using Holistiplan, right? Is understanding the tax return. And so we're going to hop in today in sort of, the hows and the whats of all that. But just as a background, interesting being on the road in so many different states and talking to the clients really opens up your eyes as to what folks are thinking out there and what they're looking for. And so these are the 5 areas that we're going to talk about today. And let's hop in. So the first poll question is, are you providing tax planning services? Right? Are you providing tax planning services? And so we're just curious from folks out there who is doing this, and just to get a sense of our audience. So yeah, I think this is the second poll question, but do you analyze client tax returns? Which I'd love to see the results on that too. So let's see what we got. We have about 50% say yes and 50% say no. So half of you are analyzing client tax returns and half of you are not. And so thank you everybody for your candor on that. And that gives us a lot to work with today. For those of you who are analyzing tax returns, I will challenge you is, if you're not subscribers to Holistiplan, how you're actually doing that, right? How you're actually doing that. Because without software, without Holistiplan, I think it's virtually impossible to review tax returns on any scalable level. And so just curious as to the how, and by all means, drop that into the chat or the Q&A, because I know for years I was trying to review tax returns on my own. I would have these checklists in place, but literally my checklist was 20 pages long. I'd get a tax return that was 70 pages long, a checklist that's 20 pages long, and you could see where it's not a very efficient process. I was constantly worried about the quality of my analysis, and I'm a CPA and a retired attorney, and I was constantly worried about missing things. And so for those of you who are reviewing the tax returns and not Holistiplan subscribers yet, thank you for stepping up, knowing that this is a really important service. But I would say it's probably time to go to the next level, which is why you're here in the first place. And for those of you who aren't reviewing the tax returns yet, then we're going to walk you through today how easy it is to do it with Holistiplan. And so great. Thank you for replying to the poll. So I wanted to start with, just sort of the foundation here is what the data is telling us about what clients are looking for. And so the first thing to start here is with the Angie Herber survey. And basically what we're seeing here, and let me put this. So what we're seeing here is that 90% of clients are wanting tax planning services. You see that. And here's how I'm looking at this, is there's sort of a trifecta here of services that your clients are really wanting, like core trifecta services is how I would think about this. Now, having said that, we know that many advisors, particularly those that are growing a lot, are providing several services to their clients. And that is the way that we've been able to protect that 1% fee. And so years ago, remember, they thought, oh, fee compression, robo-advisors, you're not going to be able to charge 1%. You're going to have to go down to 70 basis points or 60 basis points or what have you to stay competitive. And what we did is sort of reinvented ourselves as an industry, thanks to the technology, thanks to firms like Holistiplan. And we said, no, we're not going to lower our fee. Instead, we're going to provide additional services. And so, yes, does it possibly cut into our profits a little bit because we're providing these additional services? Possibly, but we've been able to protect our 1% fee. So what are then those key services that we have all been gravitating towards? And what you see here is this trifecta, is investment management, retirement financial planning, and then tax planning. And what I would tell you is the tax planning is sort of the latest entrant, into these core services. Investment management, of course, has been there forever, table stakes. Financial planning, over the last decade or so, people got the hint, advisors got the hint, said, oh, yeah, we need to do financial planning. This is actually important to our clients. And now I think the next evolution is the tax planning. And because we have the software, because we have the means to do it, you're seeing this gain so much more traction, even just over the last year or two. So here's another way to think about this, and this is the Schwab benchmark, RIA benchmarking study, which I love to refer to. And so what you see here then is 81% of firms over $250 million say that they're offering tax planning and tax strategy services. And that's this number right here. By the way, 85% of them say that they're not charging anything extra for those services. And we discussed, by the way, fees and how to charge for these services at last month's subscriber webinar. And so, as Laura mentioned, every month we have subscriber webinars, and every month we have a different topic that we're covered. It's advertised well in advance and really get into the practice management, the hows and the whys. So we go beyond the software and talk about implementing tax planning into your practice, what your service calendar should look like, what your fees should look like, your marketing pieces, all of that. And people have found those monthly master classes to be very, very powerful. So anyway, according to Schwab then, 81% of their top RIAs are offering the tax planning. You see here, 93% are offering the comprehensive financial planning. And so again, what I would tell you is that the financial planning is table stakes, right, for our firms more and more, particularly if you want to charge that 1% fee, you want to bring on new clients, you want to retain your existing clients. But here's how I would think about this. This charitable planning, tax planning, family education, and estate planning. If you look at these four areas, how I think about this is it's basically legacy planning, right? When you take a step back, when you talk about these four areas, really what you're doing is talking about legacy planning and next gen planning for your families. And this again is where your services can be so helpful, assist with retention and help with next gen and keeping them, part of your firm, because we know that there's data out there that 90% of beneficiaries plan to fire their parent's advisor. Okay, literally, I was reading this yesterday, 90%. And so by offering all of these services, you are able then to better serve the initial family members, but also connect with the next gen and hopefully keep this family, forever as part of your firm. And again, like we talked about then, what we're seeing here is that we're doing more for less, right? We're providing all of these services, but again, typically for that same 1% fee, plus or minus. And that's okay, right? That's the evolution of the industry. And that's helped us to survive and helped us to bring on clients. That's okay. So back to the Herber study again, and here's another way then to be thinking about this, is we're back to the trifecta here: investment management, retirement planning, and tax planning. And what you're seeing here is that top organic growing firms, right? The fastest growing firms, not by buying other practices, but by bringing on new clients, those fastest growing firms, and look at the services, and that's the green, look at what they're doing: tax planning, retirement planning, and investment management. Down here, this purple bar, these are the firms that are not growing as quickly. And you see that the firms that are not growing aren't investing in themselves, aren't investing in their people, aren't investing in the technology, and aren't offering these additional services. And here's my challenge to you. If you're like, hey, Debbie, we're doing fine. We're managing this money. Nobody seems to be complaining. Here's how I would think of it: is those people that you have at your firm have already bought into your value proposition, right? But if you want to grow, then that value proposition needs to evolve, and it needs to evolve to include additional services like these top growing firms are doing. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to attract new clients and keep them. And it's going to be even more difficult to attract those higher net worth clients, which is what you really want. And so I would tell you, do not rest on your laurels. A lot of that data, right? Oh, we have this much under management, right? Whatever. Those are backward looking ideas. But forward looking, you need to sell future clients on your value proposition. And to sell future clients on your value proposition, you're going to need to provide these other services. And tax planning is the core of those services. So this slide is one of my favorite slides, because to me, this slide is all about minding the gap, is what I say, minding the gap. And the reason is that we see 89% of wealthy investors want tax planning. And that was on one of the previous slides, right? It was 90%, 89%. They want these services. But when you ask them, are you getting these services? Only 24.8% say they're actually getting these services. Only 25% say that they're getting these services. That's a big execution gap. And so here's then the challenge, and here's what you want to be thinking about. If you say that you're providing tax planning services, what are you really doing? How are you doing it? Are you communicating it well? Do you have systems and processes behind it? Are you leveraging the technology so that you can offer it to more of your clients and not just the lucky few? Because this gap is way too pronounced not to get our attention. And what I'm seeing out in the field is that everybody is saying that they're offering tax planning, right? Because firms realize to be competitive, to help close, they need to act like they're providing tax planning. So I'm seeing in competitive situations where other firms are saying that they're doing this. And I'm saying they are not doing this the way I'm doing this, right? We have systems. We have a 12-point checklist. We have the technology that does this. We have people on our team that are dedicated to managing Holistiplan and reviewing these tax returns. And so what I want you to do then and think about is, if you're providing the tax planning, how much have you built up around the tax planning? How are you communicating it? Is it part of your service calendar? Are you discussing your tax planning services with prospects, with existing clients? What are your deliverables, right? You really want to build the infrastructure around it, just the way you built your infrastructure around traditional planning and the way you build your infrastructure around investment management, or even like your periodic reviews. And so that's really the next step here, is taking the informal and making it formal. And that's, again, where Holistiplan can be so helpful, because it's going to allow us to bring these services to so many more people in a scalable way, in a high quality way, in a consistent way. All right, and then the final slide on this area with the data is the top performing firms, Charles Schwab. And here's what we want to think about: is the top performing firms, their number one growth mechanism, organic growth, the number one is client referrals, right? It's client referrals. 40% of your growth comes from client referrals. And I know that all of us are out there with all kinds of marketing strategies. And trust me, I've been in the business over 25 years. I feel like I've done them all. I advertised on shopping carts in supermarkets, believe it or not. I've done a radio show, right? We do social media. I've done workshops in libraries. I've advertised in the local newspaper, right? All of those things. And some of them are vanity projects, right? You might, feel good. You're posting how many likes did you get on Facebook, whatever. And all of that can be helpful to a point to reinforce your brand and reinforce your messaging. But having said that, your number one source of growth in many instances is client referrals. And the best way then to get client referrals is to make sure that you have an amazing value proposition for your existing clients, right? Amazing service offerings, right? Excellent client service, including the tax planning, so that we can send them out into the world as your disciples and they can bring back referrals for you. So do not overlook what is right in front of you. Yes, you're going to have a lot of marketing initiatives. I understand that. But remember that all roads probably should lead back to that client experience and building that up so that your existing clients will bring referrals to you. And tax planning is a fantastic way to do that. And so the final slide in this section, taking a step back then, is how we should think about our wealth management services. And this is my favorite slide. I say that I would take it to a desert island. And here's how I want you to think about it, is that left lane, right? Our table stakes is investment management. And many of you, that's what you've come to expect. That's what you're offering, right? Your clients are used to that. That's the investment management. The middle lane is financial planning. And the financial planning, again, more and more has gained traction also as table stakes in many situations. I would tell you that a lot of folks don't bring the passion and the thought to financial planning that they probably should. I think some folks are just checking the box, knowing that this is something that clients want, but at least they're getting in the game. At least they're trying to offer these services, and hopefully they'll continue to build on them. But what arguably has been neglected, and what I believe is the next frontier, is this family tax planning. And this is only going to get more and more play with the TCJA expiring at the end of next year. And then our presidential candidates constantly talking about taxes in the news. More and more, these baby boomers, folks that are retiring, folks that are sitting on huge amounts of wealth, they are thinking beyond themselves. They're thinking about their legacy, the people that they care most about. And tax planning is such a critical part of legacy planning, because in order to build that lifetime wealth, you need to drop down those lifetime taxes, right? It's almost an inverse relationship. Is more wealth means you have to pay less in taxes. And the way you do that, right, the way you start doing that is looking at these tax returns, understanding somebody's current situation, and then building on it from there. And so I urge all of you to think about tax planning as part of a three-piece puzzle, a three-lane highway, a three-legged stool, however you want to look at it. And again, arguably, the family tax planning has been the most neglected of those three areas, which then provides the greatest opportunity for you, right? The greatest opportunity for you to show value, to differentiate yourself from the competition, and to win that amazing business. And so this next question is, do you analyze your client's tax returns in Holistiplan? And so I think this is going to be very helpful to us, because I can't understand how you could be analyzing tax returns in any other real way, right? In any other real way. And so I'm really curious to see what the results are like on this.
Hey, Debbie, we're going to skip this poll. This was the poll that already went out.
Okay, great. All right, so then what that means is that from that previous poll, then half of you are using Holistiplan, and then like we said, the other half are not. So that's great. All right, so the next slide, we are going to show you from the very beginning how to upload the tax return to Holistiplan. And so this is literally, you are opening the box, you have signed up for Holistiplan, but you're like, hey, I have no idea how to do this. Technology is not really my thing. I am a financial advisor, and I totally get that. And so I have a little guest speaker on today. Her name is Dominique, and she is going to walk us through uploading the tax return to Holistiplan, and you will see it is like a snap. It is that easy. And so with that, then I'm going to switch chairs, because this is the chair of power, and I'm going to switch chairs, and I'm going to have Dominique on for us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dominique, as you've heard. I'm a senior client service associate here at Taylor Financial Group, and I want to show you how easy it is to upload a tax return. I've been in the business for a little under a decade, and I have not had any experience with Holistiplan and in-depth tax analysis. And I want to show you how easy Holistiplan makes it. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop sharing so we can do this in real time. And I am going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so you are now looking at the home page. So this is the dashboard. When you sign up for Holistiplan, this is what you'll see. So let's say you get a tax return from a potential client or a client, we are going to click the far right hand at the top, the green button to upload the return. So once you do that, we click the date. Let's say we want to upload it for 2023. And let's just assume, for the sake of this demo, that we're going to create a new household. If you already have a household created in Holistiplan, you would just scroll down and click it from the selection here. And if not, we're going to create a household. So let's just say we have John Smith. And as you can see, there are other tabs to complete, but those are not required in order to move forward to the next step. Now let's just say John is married. He's married to Sally. We just simply add another client and we include Sally here. Let's just say they're married filing jointly. Smith. Okay, this is all we need to upload the return. So we click next. And then what you're going to do is you would go into your file saver, wherever you store your files. We use Ignite. So you would go into Ignite. And then let me move this to the next side so you can see how we upload it. And then we just drag and drop that in there. So now you can see that that's populated there when we upload.
That was so easy, Dominique.
So easy. I mean,
didn't even do that.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I can't wait to show you the report that this spits out. So as you can see, this usually takes this at the bottom. It takes a few moments to upload. So what I usually go and do is maybe send some emails, do some other things while that loads. But for the sake of this demo.
Wait, so it just is done uploading, right?
It didn't upload yet. So if I click into who we just put in, here we go, John and Sally Smith. So here you'll see, there it is. It uploaded.
Yeah, so it took like 2 seconds.
It took 2 seconds, okay?
Maybe 3.
Super, super easy, super simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you Patrick and Brittany Mahomes, just for the sake of the demo, because we went in and made sure you had a complex tax return. So when Debbie goes through the different sections, you'll see all the things that the tax report generates for us. So we're going to go in here, Patrick Mahomes, Brittany Mahomes. We're going to click on the report for 2021.
So wait, let me just understand then. You upload the return, it literally took 3 or 4 seconds, and then you get this report right away.
Correct.
And you didn't have to do anything else.
I didn't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I've been paying you all this money, all this time. I thought you were doing stuff.
I'm not a CPA. I just started working at Taylor Financial Group. I started in February. So it took me no time to pick this up and be able to master this and send out these reports that we send to our clients regularly.
Wow.
So it's been great.
I need to subscribe to it.
Me too. So as you can see, this is the report that it spits out. Just because I'm a big picture kind of person, I just want to show you the finished product before we go into the details. So I hit print report, that was at the top right-hand corner of the section. And this is what it generates for us. It's very in-depth. It's about 3 to 4 pages, depending on the return. And again, as you can see, this is what we generate. So Debbie, don't worry, Debbie's going to go through the different sections and share with you how we use this to add value to our clients and add value to our business. But what I want to show you is the fact that these different sections are completely customized in that you can take out or move what you don't want in the return or in the report and what you do want. So I'm going to show you how to do that once we get to the platform. Similar thing here with the modified adjusted gross income tiers. You can choose to include this or not include this. And again, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Don't worry. And then as we scroll down, again, you can move these sections anywhere. So if you have a client who has a lot of real estate and they want to see that first in the Schedule E, you can move this section to the top of on page 1 of the tax report. So you can customize it to however you like and however your clients want to see things. The observation section is what comes next. This section you can also customize. The theme here is customization, as you're probably growing to see. You can include, you can choose to add or not add this. You can choose to edit this, and you can choose to add your own observations. And the observation section is what Holistiplan generates based on the tax report or return. And it gives you tips. It's more like planning tools to help you meet with the client and help you add different points of value here. Then you have the state tax hints as well. And again, Debbie's going to talk about that when we get into the different sections. You can choose to include or not include that as well. And then you have different information sections here where it shows you how they calculate different items from above. So that is essentially the finished product of the tax report. And so I'm going to go into I'm going to cancel this and then go into the page that we were on before to show you how to do these things. So at the right-hand side of the screen, you see the layout tab. Now, this is where we can get a little fun and customize it. You can take out different tabs that you want to take out and not include. You can enlarge the font if you find that this is easier to read. So this and things that are empty, sections that are empty won't typically show up in the report as well. So that's the layout tab. And these little sections here, that's just another way to get to the layout tab. As you can see here, just tells you where you can find here and move the sections around. So here's the part that I've mentioned before. Schedule E income sources, I can just take that and simply drag it to wherever I want, and then this shows up there. So as you can see, again, this is completely customizable to how you want it to look and what you think will resonate more with your clients. Now scrolling down, I mentioned before that the modified adjusted gross income tiers are completely customizable. You can choose, now you see it, now you don't. Now you see it, now you don't. So you can do that down the line here if you, again, choose to include it or not. Now scrolling down to the observations section here, again, this is really interesting because it itemizes things that might be important to your client, and they do it in form of importance. So what's more important will be shown at the top of the list. And again, you can customize it if you don't want to show it. Now you see it, now you don't. And you can do that. So icon here is where you can choose to edit it. If you want to add something in here, if you want to change the wording to be something that sounds more like you, then you can do that as well. Again, completely customizable is the theme here. And then at the bottom, if you want to add an observation that you find that you didn't feel was on the report itself, you can do that as well. Click in there, type it in, boom, bam, boom. Below here, it's the same idea. You can edit it here using the pencil, put things in that you want, or you can just choose not to show it all together. It will not show up on the tax return. And then here as well, at the very bottom, you can choose to include these different information as well on how things are calculated. So super, super, super easy. Again, I mastered this in like the first month at TFG, and it's been great. And I've seen the value that it's added to our clients, and it's amazing. it's amazing. I don't understand how people are doing this without Holistiplan.
I know.
So, so with that, I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to go back into the presentation so that Debbie can walk you through how we're actually doing this.
You took away all my thunder.
This is just so much fun to talk about. I'm sorry. I'm having a great time.
You ever thought taxes could be fun, right?
Not me.
Yeah, right.
All right, Debbie, back to you.
Thank you, Dominique. You were amazing. Okay, that was amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, so using the tax report, and Dominique did cover some of this, and so then we'll be able to move through some of this a little bit more quickly, and then hopefully have time for some questions at the end. And so Dominique showed us. So here are the slides for those of you who are not sitting live with us and listening to us on replay, or again, you're going to have a copy of this deck, and this can serve as reference. But Dominique went through this as you just click that little green button at the top right-hand side. And then what did you say? Boom, bam, boom? Is that what you said?
I did.
Is that a term? I've never heard of that one. But then boom, bam, boom, or something like that. And now your tax return, you drag it from your document storage, right? And boom, bam, boom is the new term. Okay, that's really impressive. And then here, viewing the tax report, right? And she showed us how to do that as well. This is the full tax report, and again, Dominique showed us high level. So this is what it looks like. You guys saw on the screen, guys and gals. Here's what it would look like typically, and it's basically, like she said, 2 or 3 pages long. If you have, state tax, then you would see Missouri, New Jersey, New York, whatever's going on in the state. Do not neglect, by the way, the state tax hints, because, for example, in New Jersey, which is where I'm located, New Jersey does not follow the federal. So there are all these peculiar state tax things that go on in New Jersey. It's actually difficult to follow because you're not reading about New Jersey tax law every day. And so for you that have clients in 20 different states or even your own state, it's nice to have that. So that's a great feature. All right, so we went through some of this, but there's a few things we did not go through, and so I just want to talk about that. So at the top of the tax report, these are the key figures, right? These are the key figures. This is not editable, right? No. So this is not editable. These are the key figures, and I like how Holistiplan basically pulled this out of the return. Sometimes, this will be, at least initially, the only thing I look at, right? When I'm getting copied on it, just high level, just so I get like a lay of the land. And then here's the marginal tax bracket information. Again, all this is on that first page of the report, and it helps us to start right in what marginal rate that we're at. And again, a great starting point if you're thinking about Roth conversions, for example, or trying to accelerate certain transactions or defer transactions, right? So, just a great starting point. Capital gains information. Again, so much here. They talk about the NIT at the bottom, right? The net investment income tax, what capital gains threshold we're in. Again, like every single one of these data points is just so powerful for you. So for example, here you're like, oh, okay, well, what's the big deal, right? Well, here, if we've got a client in a 0% capital gains tax bracket, we could consider capital gains harvesting if they're at that 0% and we think they're going to stay at that 0% for this year, right? Or even if they're at 15%, that's a very attractive rate. And so even something as simple as this, you tuck that away in your brain, or use that as part of your analysis with clients who are like, hey, I don't want to sell my Apple. It's gone up so much, but I don't want to pay all these capital gains. Sometimes they don't even realize what they're saying, right? They just sort of hear these ideas and throw them out. This is where you can be thoughtful and you can actually then run the numbers, right? Instead of fearing the thing, right? Instead say, hey, well, let me run the numbers. If we sold some Apple, you're at the 0% or you're at the 15%, here's what it would look like. And you literally could then create that scenario in Holistiplan and tell them you would owe $4,000 in taxes by our estimates. I think that's worth it to, take out the concentration risk or what have you. And so it just helps you to be so much more thoughtful and so much more precise in the work you're doing. Here are these Maggi tiers. Dominique talked about this. You're gonna have some kind, like here we have Patrick Mahomes, right? And so I know I'm not supposed to talk about the names of clients, but he said it was okay. And so here we have Patrick Mahomes. That was a joke, by the way. Here we have Patrick Mahomes, okay? He is over the Maggi tier for everything. Big surprise. So maybe then you don't include the Maggi section for Patrick Mahomes. Others might be under. And it means that you could take advantage of certain deductions or credits, right? Or maybe making a Roth IRA contribution. And so, again, something that you can look at, figure out how to approach. Itemized deductions. So in this example, then we are taking the standard deduction, and here we see the SALT of $10,000, right? That cap. But you see a big mortgage here, right? We see a big mortgage, and that helped us to itemize. So again, gives you a window into things. And if we notice that a client is donating a lot to charity, maybe then age 70 and a half and over, let's do those QCDs. Here's the Medicare IRMA surcharges. We know that's a huge thorn in the side to your clients who are over 65. And remember that the Medicare IRMA surcharge is a cliff tax. If they are $1 over, it pushes them to the next tier and could then cost them thousands of dollars more in Medicare IRMA surcharges. So pretty good to have a handle on where your clients fall, particularly if they're near like the edge of that cliff. Good to know, right? Here's Schedule B. Schedule B is so powerful, so powerful. Do you know why Schedule B is powerful?
Because we can see the outside.
That's my girl, right? This is training at Taylor Financial Group. So I love Schedule B for two reasons. First of all, I want to know if my clients are running around on me, okay? And what I mean is that if I see other custodians on here or broker dealers, I know that I don't have all my clients' money. I know that during the year, they opened up some accounts somewhere else, and we need to have a conversation about that. So this is great for increasing wallet share. The other thing it helps you to do, and this year more than ever, so if no other reason you buy a Holista plan, just think about this. If you run through the Schedule B, you will also see their bank accounts, their money market accounts. And so many people over the last 2 years opted to stay out of the market and decided to do money markets, T-bills, bank accounts, CDs, right? We know that party is ending. We know from a long-term perspective, probably doesn't make sense to load up on all those cash or cash equivalents. This is a way for you to see where all that money is lurking. And I can assure you the numbers are going to be higher for 2023 than they ever have been in the past, right? Even your clients who put their heads in the sand cannot deny that bank accounts, money markets, CDs were paying 4 to 5% last year. And so they started squirreling money away in those areas. If nothing else, you just focus on Schedule B and figure out where that money is so you can chase it down. And actually at Taylor Financial Group, we are starting a wallet share project is what we're calling. And Dominique is going to be the lead on that. And if she gets good reviews from today, then maybe we invite her back and she can talk to us about our wallet share project. But the wallet share project is going to start with Holista Plan and leveraging the Schedule B to figure out where our clients have their money and then sending outreach to them and getting that money back to us where it belongs. All right, Schedule D. What I love about the Schedule D is we've got the carry forward losses that can help us. Right here it's zero, but for many clients, there could be a dollar amount here. Very helpful to use those carry forward losses to offset gains, right? When you do capital gain harvesting. And so really good to have this available so that you can do good tax loss trading and capital gain harvesting, right? And not do it blindly, right? You might have money available to you there to offset capital gains and you didn't even know about it, right? You didn't even know about it. Schedule E, so this is, rental properties, right? Obviously the Mahomes are very active with their real estate and everything. And so a good way to track that. And now observations report. So just curious from a polling perspective, if anybody is using the observations report. And as you are administering the poll, the reason I'm asking is because early on, I did not use the observations report. I am embarrassed to admit, but I need to be honest with all of you. I did not use the observations report because I am a retired CPA and I thought I don't need Holista Plan to tell me how to read a tax return. And then I realized that the observations report really synthesizes all of the key things that I was doing on my own. And so now the first thing I go to is the observations report. And so we have 2/3 of you not reviewing the observations report. So hopefully then we'll be able to convince you that that should be one of the first places you start. So let's hop in then to that. So the observations report, as Dominique pointed out, right, it's the second or third page of that tax summary, and you can customize it, move things around. You can type in your own observations if you'd like, but it is an amazing starting point. Here is a sample observation report. Now, I've included an observation report for a working client and one for a retired client. And by the way, I was able to see the pool of observations that Holistiplan is able to leverage. And it is literally hundreds long. So this software, this AI-generated software, literally can identify potentially hundreds of observations for your client. So don't think, oh, they just pull from a list of 10 or 20. Here it is for a working client. And with the working client, then you see them mentioning like the NIT, right? This working client is obviously over age 65 because we're talking about their IRMA surcharges, right? You see here about estimated taxes, some flags on that. They're encouraging us to do a backdoor Roth strategy because their MAGI is too high to do a direct Roth contribution. Thank you for the tip on that, right? And then we have here that they have mortgage interest, so an observation in connection with that. Now here we have for a retired client. And so you're going to see some of them are different, like we're talking about Social Security and that it was 85% taxable. We are back to the IRMA surcharges here and the NIT, right? But you see here then for the retired client, we're going to have slightly different observations. And so here are 5 key items from the observation report. Honestly, there's so many depending on the client, but number 1, should we consider a Roth conversion, right? That's one of the things that the observation report will flag, particularly if we're in, those lower tax brackets. It will address the MAGI and any credits, IRMA surcharges, deductions that are getting phased out, doing those direct contributions to an IRA. Also the HSAs, it will flag if you can make contributions there. And then if you have a Schedule C and you're a business owner, it will start flagging also business owner observations. And so we'll talk about QBI, retirement plans, things like that. And so again, literally it's hundreds of observations that it can choose from for your client. So there's no limit to it. And then the state observations, which again, we love because New Jersey does not follow the federal. New Jersey is a total nightmare. And so I love that the state observations are here to coach me on particular states. Or you might have clients in a state that you're not familiar with. They're in Maine. You don't know what Maine tax law is like. And so here we have the state observations. Okay, do you present clients with their tax reports, right? Do you share the tax report with the clients? So let's see. So what do we have for tax for this survey? Here we go. So 53% say no and 47% say yes. So let's say it's roughly 50-50. So again, lots of opportunities here. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you about the tax report is I sat on a panel years ago and I was sitting next to a gentleman and they said, oh, what do you do with the tax report? And he says, oh, well, we wait for the client to come in and then we present the tax report to the client. I'm going to tell you, I think that is a worst practice, okay? I'm going to tell you what I believe the best practice is. If your client takes the time to send the tax return to you, then you should be uploading it within a week or 2 tops. We have all kinds of systems and procedures behind this at the firm. And then you should be sharing the tax report in real time with them. So get the tax report. If you're going to do a cover letter, fine. I'm going to show you as a bonus sample of ours. If you're not going to do a cover letter, that's okay. But let's share it in real time because if they took the time to send it to you, then I think it's disrespectful to wait, particularly if that meeting might not happen for several months. And part of what we want is we want to have an ongoing dialogue all year with clients, right? We want to have ongoing engagement. You don't want like peak engagement during a meeting, then they don't hear from you for 6 months, then peak engagement at another meeting where you're sharing their tax return report. What I would prefer is high levels of engagement all year, and Holistiplan is another great way to do that. And so we want to use the tax returns as a treasure map, right? And that's what that tax report, that tax return report helps to summarize everything. That can be your treasure map. And then we want to send the tax report to the clients in real time. So here are the key topics that we cover on the tax return analysis that we send to clients. So these are the key topics, so you can make a note of this. And here is, as bonus material, here is a sample email that we send to the clients. Now, to be clear, we have a few versions of this. For sort of simpler tax returns and lower level clients, we may just send the tax report with literally a one-page cover email. Super simple, very templated, okay? Those clients are still getting great service, great opportunity, and of course, we're happy to talk to them if they have questions. For some of our higher ranked clients, then we will do this more detailed cover letter. And what you see here is we review the key figures and analysis, observations. So we're basically coaching them about how to review the tax report, because my concern is that they wouldn't know how to review the tax report. And so here are sort of some of our coaching on this. Then we sort of educate a little bit on the standard deduction versus the itemized deduction. We talk about RMDs, so we use this as an opportunity to update them as to where we are on taking their RMD for the year, whether that's already satisfied. Here's QCD. So again, depending on the client, if they've already taken their RMD, if they haven't taken their RMD, if they're over 70 and a half, and the Benny IRA. So we have different like paragraphs that we will pull out and use depending on the client. If they own the business, then we address the QBI, the carry forward losses we address, and the net investment income tax. And so these are, again, coming from the tax report, but our concern is that the client wouldn't understand, wouldn't know where to look for it. And so we created this templated letter. We address the Medicare IRMAA surcharge because that's a real thorn in the side. We also coach the clients how to appeal the Medicare IRMAA surcharge if that's something that could make sense. And then we address the HSAs. And here is a very customized section. So everything you just saw was, basically templated, but there's certain paragraphs that we would plug and play depending on the situation. Depending on the timing, though, here is the last section, and this is us doing some of the tax planning in connection with Roth conversions and Roth contributions. And so we basically then a little bit of education, right? A little bit of education. Let's not assume that people know things that they don't know. So let's give them some of the background. We remind them of, hey, you have this very large traditional balance, okay? Here was your Roth conversion last year. Here's what we recommend you do as far as maybe backdoor Roth conversions, making Roth 401k contributions. And then we talk about how we'd like to set them up to do Roth conversions for this year, and we'll be following up. And so this, again, this is highly customized. I'm not saying it's got to be part of your tax letter, but if the timing works out, then sometimes we will include this section, sometimes not. Sometimes this ends up going as a separate Roth recommendation email at a later date, again, depending when that tax return comes in, because that tax return is coming in anytime from March to October, right? And so we're also doing Roth conversion recommendations and distribution planning during that, 8 or 9 month period. And so if the timing works out, we'll include it here. And maybe if the timing doesn't work out, then that's a separate outreach talking about the distribution planning and the Roths. And so then in summary, right, and wrapping this part up so that we do have time for questions, 4 reasons why tax return reviews add value to the business. Now, there's no question to me that Holistiplan pays for itself 1,000 times over, right? Literally. And so we've got to think broadly here, think forward, right? Let's lean in on this, but let's make ongoing tax planning a part of our practice, a part of our advisory services. Let's leverage those tax returns to uncover inefficiencies, missed tax planning opportunities, but also for us, right, to look at wallet share and make sure that we're gathering all those assets, because it's hard to give the best planning services to the client unless we have all of their assets, right? We really need all of those assets. And then we want to communicate those insights from the tax report. And remember, going back to the beginning of the hour, that's what's so important, is adding these additional tax planning services, having a system around it, being transparent around it, having deliverables around it. So remember, if that tree falls in the forest and nobody sees it or hears it, the tree didn't fall. If you are doing this work, but you're hogging it all for yourself, it's not going to count. And remember, mind the gap. Remember, we have 89% of people, advisory firms, saying they're offering these services, but only 25% of clients say they're getting it. My guarantee to you is that if you called my clients, they would all tell you that they're getting tax planning, because we are constantly marketing, communicating, and discussing it with them. And that's what you want to be doing. You want to make it a critical keystone of your practice. And by the way, those clients aren't going to leave you because they can't get those services anywhere else. All right, so wrap up Q&A. So here is another bonus piece. This is our 12-point tax return review checklist. So think about this. You could use this internally for yourself. You could use this to create that tax cover letter. You could base it off of this. You can also share this with prospects. You can share it with existing clients to show them the work that you're doing for them. You can post this, right? So all kinds of uses for the 12-point tax return checklist, which, by the way, was inspired by the Jiffy Lube. I don't know if it's like 16-point checklist or 15-point checklist. That's where I came up with this idea, okay? It's from Jiffy Lube. So if Jiffy Lube has a 16-point checklist for your oil change, you can certainly have a 12-point checklist for reviewing your client's tax returns. And then the last thing I want to mention is fortune favors the bold. And so what you want to do is sign up for your 7-day free trial, okay? You want to go onto the website, you want to sign up for your 7-day free trial, and then just upload a tax return, so simple, like Dominique just showed you, and see the value that you can get right away. And what I would tell you is tax planning is not just for the lucky few. Years ago, before we had Holistiplan, I would collect tax returns, but it was so arduous to do these reviews that I would have to do them myself. I couldn't delegate it out. And I would only then share any findings with my top clients because it was so much work. Now that you have the technology, the point of technology is that you can spread your arms wider, right? You can spread your arms wider and offer these services to as many of your clients as possible. Maybe you streamline the service a little bit. Maybe you don't do the cover email then for some of those lower level clients that don't have as many assets with you. And maybe you keep that letter for your A and B clients. That's okay. That's part of segmenting your services, right? That's okay. But at the end of the day, the point of the technology is that you can bring these services to everybody, right? And help them all benefit and help them understand that you appreciate them and that you're bringing them additional services. And we call that value without a doubt, right? Value without a doubt. So please sign up for the free trial. You will not regret it. And with that, then, I do have some time for questions.
All right, Debbie, that was absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for that. And Dominique, you also had a fantastic presentation. That was phenomenal. Thank you so much. All right. So yes, just to plug the free trial. So if you get a chance, we do have a 7-day free trial. And with that, you get 3 free uploads. So a lot of advisors like to start off by uploading their own tax returns just to see what types of insights and observations you can get from that. So highly, highly recommend, if you have a chance to do it, take advantage of it. All right, Debbie, on to the questions.
I can hop in. I have them in front of me. Do you want me to hop in?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I have a question from Shamsha. How is Holistiplan compared with other tax planning software? I love that question. So you do not have to take my word for it, but if you go into the Bob Veery's, the T's technology survey, Holistiplan literally gets the highest rankings of any tax planning software. And the reason it gets the highest rankings, and when I say highest rankings, I mean everywhere, on their customer service, which is amazing, literally got the highest rankings of any software. that has been evaluated, not just tax planning, every piece of software, the Holistiplan customer service got the highest ranking, okay? But it also has the highest adoption rate, like triple, quadruple, the number 2 and number 3. It's not even close, okay? And the reason is that Holistiplan uses AI to do the analysis. The reason is that Holistiplan is singularly focused on tax planning. This is what they live for every single day, and this is what they are the best at. And so there are 1 or 2 other folks out there that are trying to do this, but either they are not AI generated, so then you're manually putting in all this information. And trust me, I tried those software before Holistiplan. You can't put in this information manually. You will mess it up. Your people will mess it up. I mean, that's just how it works. It's way too technical. And so, anyway, and so that, yes, so we can't do that. And then Holistiplan is constantly innovating with their software. And so there's just no competition here. There's no second place. So that's my answer to that. Then do you have any practices for doing a Loom video walkthrough for clients of the tax explainer and our tax report? Yeah, we have done some tax planning and we've done the videos. Emily is going to answer that question, but all of this is so powerful, right? Leveraging video. I love that idea. Keeping the video to 2 minutes. And depending on your compliance department, sometimes you're not required to get pre-approval. So make sure you run it through your compliance department. But generally, you don't want more than 2 or 3 minutes. I love that idea. I love that idea. And then subscription options or costs, I'm going to let you handle that. And then do you ever have the CPA make an extra copy of the return? So what happens is that the CPA will send the returns to us electronically. So sometimes we'll get them directly from the CPA, and sometimes we'll get them from the client. We've also developed relationships now. We have a whole spreadsheet where we will go to the CPA for these clients every year, knowing which clients want us to just interact with the CPA on our own. So you can create your own processes and your own conveniences to help the clients. And so let me just take one more question, and then maybe, Laura, you can talk about the subscription levels. Do you provide the cover letter analysis templates in Holistiplan? Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a copy of this deck, and then you will have the templates for that. So one of the things that we do with Holistiplan is we are really good sharers. They have me on every single month for a master class where I share all of my best practices, 25 years in the business, and all of that is shared very freely with you. And honestly, some people say that the monthly master class is worth the subscription in and of itself, which makes no sense because obviously Holistiplan is also worth the subscription, but you get the point. Lots of value here is what we would say. All right, Laura, back to you on subscription levels, options, and costs.
Yeah, so we have 3 different levels. We have basic, we have premium, and premium plus. We recommend premium or premium plus. The premium plus starts at $18.99, and with that you get P&C analysis, so property and casualty analysis. So that's also done with our OCR technology, very similar to how you see the tax report being read in with the OCR technology that Dominique showed. We have that same thing with home, auto, and umbrella insurance. So that's only with the premium plus model. With the premium model, that's $9.99, and then with our basic, I think it's $4.99, but it's much more limited. So we would recommend the premium or premium plus.
Yeah, you have to do premium plus. I mean, we're not gonna try to save $500 here, right? I mean, we're not gonna do that. This is not where you save $500. I just got to put in my 2 cents. All right, back to you.
I appreciate that, Debbie. All right, let's see. Okay, final question. How do you keep the CPA as not to see you as a competitor?
Yeah, so that's a great question because it comes up a lot, right? Is the CPAs are not interested in this. They are tax preparers. They are backward looking. They are so overwhelmed trying to get through tax season. And by the way, I was a tax preparer. My father was a CPA. We used to prepare thousands of tax returns in a tax season. I know how that part of the business runs. It's a completely different skill set, a different philosophy, different research, different tools, different software than what Holistiplan is doing and what you're doing as the tax advisor. Having said that, I will tell clients, if you want, run this by your tax preparer, right? And that's in the emails, all that. I will tell you 95 times out of 100, the client sort of rolls their eyes and they're like, okay. And I'm like, all right, I totally understand. But by all means, we'd love to collaborate. If I've got a tax preparer that wants to step up and be part of the solution, I would love that. But literally, it only happens like once a year, literally. So I would not worry about it. Just when you talk with the client, just be like, hey, I'm happy to collaborate with your tax preparer. Would you like me to contact them? And literally 9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, let's just handle this, you and me.
Perfect. All right, we're right at 5 o'clock. So I just want to say thank you, Debbie, so much. We will be sending out the recording of this webinar along with the slides, so you'll have access to everything that Debbie covered. And we hope to see you again on the next webinar. And we hope even more that you sign up with our software. So thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, folks.